to today's webinar on talent capital by using Gen AI for your elevator pitch. We will be getting started in just a few minutes. I'm going to leave a poll, so please take a moment to answer the brief poll. Thank you for joining us for our episode 2 of the Talent Capital webinar. A few things before we jump in. Please, if you have any questions, use the Q&A feature in the chat. We will be turning on closed captioning for those who may wish to use that. And without further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Mr. William Lopez.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're super excited to have you join us today using GenAl for your elevator pitch. We have an incredible panelist who's going to be walking us through that. Her name is Kiki, and we can't wait for you all to just figure out how to learn and use AI for your elevator pitch. Now, a couple of things. Really thankful to all the folks who joined us in the first session. So if you joined us in the first session, thank you for coming back again. Our first webinar last month was AI foundations or fundamentals. And so you may have learned a little bit about what the background, the history of AI and how it got to the place where we are today and how to leverage it. Today, we have an exciting guest speaker who's going to walk through all great things around using it for your elevator pitch. We are also excited because this is going to be a recurring webinar series that we're going to have around AI. So if you can join us in the next one, that'll be incredible. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it back over to Jen so we can introduce Kiki and then go from there. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Okay, so Kiki, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jen and Will. I appreciate you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about IBM Skills Build and to dive into a course together today. So if you can go ahead and type into the chat where you are joining from, that would be helpful. I'm joining from Raleigh, North Carolina. We are expected to have a beautiful weekend. I hope it's supposed to be sunny where you are, but I'd love to see where everyone's joining from.
Oh, Kiki, just give me a moment while I give folks the permission to write in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. Perfect. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about IBM Skills Build. So we made a commitment at IBM to skill 30 million people globally by 2030. And we made that commitment several years ago, and I'm happy to share we're actually have impacted over 22 million. So very exciting to see us supporting that initiative. And the why behind this is we know that the workforce is changing rapidly, right? Especially as more and more folks are using generative AI, we're seeing job roles change, we're seeing careers change as a whole, we're seeing whole industries change, right? And so we want to give individuals an opportunity to upskill or reskill in some really important domains and some really important skill sets so that they are better prepared to move into the workforce of their choosing or reskill or upskill to stay in their current role, etc. So everything I'm talking about today is completely free. for you to access. And through our partnership with Build Within, we actually you actually get access to exclusive content. So thank you all for joining and being part of Build Within. I love to see this poll come through is how would you describe yourselves? 67% are job seekers, and then 8% are employers, 8% are students, 8% are entrepreneurs, 8% are AI enthusiasts. I love it. So I'm looking here. Have you ever used GenAI to help with your professional brand or pitch? Yes, I use it regularly, said 25%. Once or twice, 33%. No, but I'm curious, the other 25%. I love it. And then what's your biggest challenge when it comes to your elevator pitch? So the majority of you, 36% of you are saying either I struggle to tailor it for different audiences, great. Or I freeze up when I actually have time to say it. All right, we're going to talk about those today. So that's amazing. I love it. Thank you. So, like I said, I'm going to talk to you quickly about IBM Skills Build, but then we're going to get into the meat of it. Okay, so I hope that you have a screen open. You can follow along with us in just a second. But like I said, IBM Skills Build is a free resource that you can access. There's over 1,000 courses on there. And we focus on domains such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data analytics. We have a whole slew of courses on professional skills. So, exactly what we're talking about today. How do you build up your brand? How do you create an elevator pitch? How do you use generative AI to improve your resume? Right? All of those things are really important. How do you network? How do you prepare for a job interview? So, a ton of different courses to explore on there. All of our courses are asynchronous, so you can take them on your own, but we also offer what we call guided learning experiences. So these are 1 week, 4 week, or 10 week experiences where you can join a cohort and take the course content asynchronously, but then have live technical sessions throughout the cohort time. So Build Within has information about that, and we're happy to share more if you're interested in participating in those. One amazing feature of IBM Skills Build is we have both industry-backed digital credentials as well as certificates. These are great ways to differentiate yourselves to potential employers. More and more employers are looking at skill sets that individuals have rather than their formal education. IBM is a good example of this. Several years ago, we actually removed the requirement for a bachelor's degree from over 50% of our job postings, and we continue to maintain that. And the reason for that is we know that things are changing, right? If someone goes into college to learn computer science, right, by the time they graduate 4 years later, the industry has changed. It has evolved. And so those skills aren't necessarily relevant. And so employers are looking more at how you supplement your education, right? Through industry-backed digital credentials. And so we have pathways on Skills Build for you to actually obtain a digital credential. It's accredited by Credly. They are globally recognized and they're portable. So you can share them on LinkedIn, you can share them on your resume, you can share them in emails, through your email signature, right? So there's a lot of different ways to showcase your skills. And this is such a positive way to differentiate yourself, right? Anyone can say that they use AI ethically, but how does an employer know that? Well, they know that if you have a digital credential to back it up, right? It's proof of your skill set. And then we also have certificate pathways. These are more in-depth pathways. They range from 60 hours to 80 hours, but you actually get a certificate from IBM, and that leads you into an entry-level job or above. So we have things around, we have certificates, we have a cybersecurity certificate, a IT support technician certificate, a data analytics certificate. So lots to choose from. And I encourage you to explore Skills Build because there is a lot on there. All right, so in the chat, you will see a link that is posted there. If you can copy and paste that into your browser, it looks like this if you see my cursor. And this is a really important link. We want you to use this one because this gives you access to that exclusive content by being part of Build Within and through our partnership. So please make sure you're using that link. Thank you, Jennifer, for popping that into the chat. Go ahead and click on that, and then I'm going to walk you through the registration process. Awesome. I see wonderful folks joining from all over. Thank you for being here today. All right, wonderful. I let Jen and Will know that I have this horrible cough. So if I mute myself to cough, I apologize. So once you click on that link, you will see a registration page. So you're going to type in your email, your password, and your first and last name. Perfect. And if you do have a Google, if you do have a Gmail account, you can use that button as well. But I'm giving you a second to do that. And then you will get a IBM ID verification code sent to your email. So go ahead and check your email, look for that code. If you do not see it immediately, it could have gone to your junk or spam folder. So check there as well. And I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to do that so that you can follow along with me. If you're having any issues, go ahead and type into the chat and let us know. All right. So you have put in your email, your first and last name. Now you're verifying your account by putting that code that was sent to your email onto the screen. And now the next step is you're going to set up your profile. So you're going to fill in your first name, your last name, your country of residence. You should see Build Within as your sponsoring organization here. Make sure you see that. You can skip step 2 for now, and then for terms and conditions, you will click yes, and then you will be on the platform. I would love to know, folks, if you have gotten there. So if you could just type into the chat a yes if you're with me. If you're not with me, tell me how we can help you. Thank you, Stuart. Benjamin, tell me about the type of error message you're getting, and maybe we can help you troubleshoot it. Thank you, Mistel. Perfect. I'm going to wait for a couple other folks before I move on. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, Benjamin. So if you got the registration code, did you copy and paste it in and now it's not letting you? Tell me a little bit more. And I have a wonderful colleague on with me who can help you troubleshoot as well. Sarah, awesome. I'm glad you're in. Oh, you typed it in. Okay, perfect. Maybe copy and paste it, Benjamin, because sometimes I don't know why. That seems to work sometimes. All right. But we'll keep troubleshooting with you, Benjamin. So now I want to actually show you skills built. All right. So hopefully you're following along. Hopefully you're in there and you can see what it looks like, but you should have landed on a page that looks like this. All right. So this is not how your dashboard will look, but this took you to today's webinar. The first thing I want you to do here is I want you to mark complete. Okay, because by participating in today's webinar, you actually have completed your first skills build activity. So you're going to go ahead and press mark complete. This webinar is 1 hour, so it's already filled in for you, and you will click submit. Okay, so that's the first thing. I want you to get credit for being here today. But then I want to just show you what this looks like. So this is an activity. Today, we're going to go through this creating an elevator pitch activity, but I want to show you what the actual dashboard looks like when you just log in on your own. So this is what it will look like. You will see any learning hours that you've completed, any digital credentials that you've earned, anything that you have started will show up in this first carousel so you can resume learning. So don't feel like you have to finish a module. You can X out mid-module and it will save your progress. And then I love to highlight this. So this second carousel is anytime we update content or release new content, you will find out about it here. So I highly encourage you to check this out. It's always changing. It's telling you about new content. So this is a good starting point for you to look at. And then a couple other features I want to showcase to you all. Over 30% of you said that you are looking for a new role. And so I want to highlight something here. So there's a virtual assistant in the bottom right-hand corner. Anytime you're having any technical issues or anything like that, you can use this virtual assistant, and it's wonderful. If it can't solve your problem, it will submit an IT ticket on your behalf and then follow up. So just know that. But what I want to point out here is this career navigator. This is going to be your best friend, okay? So I'm not going to take you through it today because it takes a couple minutes here. But if you click on Explore Career Navigator, it will walk you through a few questions, a few prompts. You'll fill in all of your information, your previous roles that you've had, skill sets that you had, and then it will actually create a customized PDF for your specific career goals and what courses you should take on Skills Build. So I highly encourage you to check that out. All right, that will be a hopefully a wonderful companion for you. And then up here under recommendations, there is Explore Learning. So if you wanted to see, what courses are offered or recommended under AI or under IT, this is a great place to go as well. All right, so just wanted to kind of walk you through that dashboard there. But for today, we are going to go through our activity. So Jen posted that link into the chat. And so again, it took you to that web page. I'm going to actually bring it up here so you can follow along exactly with what I'm doing. Let me see. Perfect. So you're seeing this, right? You've already pressed mark complete, so you're good there. Now you're going to click on create an elevator pitch using generative AI. Okay. And then you're going to click on go to activity. This is what we call a tech teaser. Our tech teasers are wonderful. They range from 10 to 20 minutes in length. So it's a great way to get some bite-sized content. Now we're going to move through this a little faster today. So if you need to come back to it, come back to it. But follow along with me if you're logged in. If you're not able to log in, you can follow along on my screen. So this says, imagine being able to input your professional background, unique selling points, and goals into a generative AI tool, enabling it to help you create an elevator pitch. In this short activity, you will get hands-on practice and tips for writing the best prompts to generate an impressive elevator pitch using an AI large language model. All right, so this is all about helping you stand out. So what is an elevator pitch anyway? Go ahead and type into the chat. Do you think it's number 1, number 2, or number 3? I want to see what you all think before I make my selection. Benjamin, it looks like you got in. Awesome. All right, I'm seeing lots of 2s. Let's see. You are right. It is a brief 30 to 60-second professional introduction that highlights key skills, experience, and goals. All right, here's the next one. Do you think it's 1, 2, or 3? In what situations can you use an elevator pitch? Tom, I think Tom had the answer first both times. Quick fingers. I love it. All right. Number 3. Yes, all of those situations, right? You can use an elevator pitch in all of those situations. So thank you all for playing along. Now we're going to actually look at what is an AI language model. So an AI language models are a popular tool in the field of natural language processing, or NLP. They allow computers to communicate with humans using natural everyday language. These models are trained to understand and generate human language. They do this by using algorithms and machine learning techniques to analyze large amounts of text data, learn patterns and relationships in the language, and generate new text that is similar in style and content to the training data. All right, so go ahead and type into the chat, what is your favorite large language model that you use? Okay, I want to hear that first, and then I have another question for you all. It's Benjamin, Claude. I love Claude too. I love Claude for PowerPoints. Oh my gosh, Claude makes the best PowerPoints. I love it. Lots of Claude. Awesome. Deontay, Mistel, Maya all use Claude as well. Fantastic. Yep, Jenna, Claude, but use Gemini at work. Same. Personally, I use Claude. At work, I use Copilot. Awesome. And it's good to test them all out. Sometimes I love to, go back and forth. I'll say, this is what ChatGPT gave me. This is what Copilot gave me. I'll put it into different large language models and kind of make them compete against each other, right? So, yes, it's good to use different ones for different purposes. Um, Here's another question. All right. I always like to ask this one. Does anyone know IBM's large language model? Type it into the chat if you do. Tom, nope. All right. I always like to ask this. Now, you wouldn't know. It's for enterprises, but it's called Granite. So that is our large language model. Don't be sorry, Jenna. That it is truly for enterprises. So you wouldn't know it, but I always like to test that, right? Most people guess Watson, right? Watson is known for its wonderful appearance on Jeopardy and beating kind of the Jeopardy champs. So yes, thank you all. I always like to ask that. So how can AI language models help with career management? They can help you create or update your resume, write your cover letter, prepare for an interview, target your resume for specific job postings, and then what we're going to talk about today is creating your elevator pitch. Here's 2 points I want to make on this piece. One, you should definitely be using AI for your resumes and for your cover letters. It's a great way to tailor it to the specific job. And make sure you are personalizing it, right? Make sure AI is great for efficiency, but you should have a unique spin on your resume because it's kind of the one shot that you're going to get recognized. So figure out how you can bring a unique perspective because resumes are all looking the same because they're all generated by AI. So how can you help stand out, right? That's an important consideration. My second point here is preparing for an interview. This is a great one. If you have an interview set up, what a great way to use AI. You upload your job description, you say, what are potential questions, right, that I could get asked? And you practice for that job interview. And then you also ask, one of my favorite ways to use AI is to kind of be the devil's advocate of what gaps have I not considered, right? What questions maybe have I not thought about that they could ask, right? Use it kind of as that devil's advocate to really provide a different perspective. So just wanted to point out those 2 things. All right, now we're going to dive into what's actually included in an elevator pitch. So it includes a catchy introduction. I think this is important, right? If you want to hook somebody, you want them to want to listen to you and learn more, okay? It should have your professional background, right? What are you good at? What have you done really well? I think that this is a really important piece. And maybe this is me because my brain is very, I always resonate with data. Like those are points that I pick up on. But I always think having a data point to reference is really important, right? Because you can talk about your experience, but what is the return that you have provided? Your unique value and special skills, and then your goals and objectives, right? What do you want to do moving forward? So now we're actually going to create our elevator pitch together. This is the part you're going to have to probably come back to because you're not going to have time to really do this. But I'm going to walk you through step by step. So step 1 is you can gather all your information, right? What do you want to highlight? What are your unique selling points? I think that's important. As we talked about, like, how do you stand out from all of the other AI generated resumes? This is an important piece. What makes you unique, right? Your goals and objectives. Then you're going to launch an AI large language model of your choice. So, like I said before, whichever one you want to use is great. And I recommend using multiple. We're going to do that today. Okay. Then you're going to create your request. And this gives you actually a great example that I'm going to use today is you're going to frame your prompt. This prompt is super simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, but you can kind of see what it says. I need help writing an elevator pitch for my career. Here's some information about me. What you currently do, background, key skills, and what you want to do, your goals. And then I give it a specific ask. Can you help me craft a 30-second elevator pitch? That's an important piece, right? Probably if you just put this in without that directive, it's going to give you something quite long. Even though you're saying elevator pitch, which should be 30 to 60 seconds, it's probably going to give you something longer. And then something that highlights your background skills and career goals with a catchy introduction. All right. So again, you can copy and paste this prompt and just change out these 4 points. Okay. Now we're going to do a little test. All right. I'm going to do this live with you all. So I'm going to open up a couple different large language models here. And I think actually I ran out of my Claude limit today already. So we're going to just do it with Gemini and with ChatGPT. And let's do Copilot just for fun. Let me see. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to copy and paste that prompt into 3 different large language models. And let's see what we get. All right, so ChatGPT, let's see. It says, I'm going to give you a second to read it on my screen. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Let's see Gemini now. Ooh, I love this sentence. I specialize in, right? What are you really good at? And then it tells you why it works. Okay. And then Copilot. And Copilot's going to give me a couple options, right? So the first one is professional but punchy. The second one is story driven. And the third one is energetic and forward looking. So I'm going to just focus on the first 2 for a second here. Perfect. Okay. So 3 different outputs, all pretty good. So what's interesting here is you could take portions of each that you like and combine them. I'm going to go back to the ChatGPT one. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, I want it to be more energetic. All right. Okay, perfect. So it tailored it a little bit. This is also feedback that I'm going to give it. I'm going to say, please help me remember how to describe this elevator pitch in 3 bullets. Why is this important? I think about 25% of you at the beginning answered that poll of sometimes you just, in the heat of the moment, right? You forget what to say, right? It's not like you're prepping. You're not going in and you're saying, tonight I'm gonna say my elevator pitch, right? It happens randomly and you have to be ready to really talk about yourself, which can be really hard on the spot. So what I do here is I think about 3 ways that I can remember the points that I want to articulate. Okay. 3 is the magic number. If you go to 4, right, you start to forget maybe 1 point, but 3 is the magic number. So this is a great way. So who I am, the foundation, and where I'm going. And I think that that's okay. I don't love those 3. I would rather have them a little bit more concise. I'm going to say the same thing to Gemini, and I'm going to say the same thing to Copilot, and let's see what we get. Okay, so this actually, Gemini gave me the hook, the bridge, and the goal, which is good. I may want it a little bit more personalized, right? And then Copilot gave me kind of a longer piece to remember. Okay, so I'm going to go back to ChatGPT for a second. I'm going to say, give me 3 words to help me remember the key points of this pitch. All right, let's see what it does here. This is what I was looking for, is the impact, foundation, or future. Like if I can remember those 3 words, what's the impact I've had? What's the foundation of who I am? And where do I want to go? What's the future state? That's helpful for me. Again, this may not be helpful for you, but that's the great thing about large language models is figure out how you can remember those things, right? I think a couple good pieces to think about here. Practice your elevator pitch, right? But don't necessarily memorize it, okay? What are, again, the key points that you want to highlight? Maybe you're great. Maybe you need to memorize it, and then you can, work in who you are into your personality. The key point is you don't want to memorize it to the point where it sounds like you're reading off a script, right? So definitely practice it. Practice it in the mirror, practice it to family members, to friends, whatever makes the most sense. I know I hate doing things like that, right? No one likes to do that. But one thing that I highly encourage you to do if you have trouble off the cuff describing your elevator pitch is record yourself doing it, and record yourself a couple times and watch it. Even if it makes you cringe a little bit, it will be helpful. And then really create one that you feel comfortable with, right? Give feedback to large language models. I think the nicer you are to large language models, the better output you get. Maybe that's all in my head, but treat it like you would treat a human, right? You would never say to a human, if a colleague came to you and said, hey, here's what I produced, you would never be like, oh, that sucks, right? You would say, here's what's great about that. Here's what we could maybe work on and improve upon. So give it feedback like you would to a colleague. Give it structured feedback to make changes and to make iterations. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our activity here because there are a couple more steps. So we framed our prompt. Now it tells you step 5 is to review and refine, right? These are great questions to go back and give it feedback. Okay, so can you help me refine it to be more unique? Or maybe you need a different hook, right? An alternative introduction. I love these too. Add enthusiasm and excitement. Or maybe you want the tone to change, okay? Include a specific goal or aspiration. So these are all great things to give feedback and to see the different types of outputs that you get. Okay, and then step number 6, we talked briefly about. Practice your elevator pitch, right? That's an important piece. So this is the end of that tech teaser. If you scroll down, it will actually say, here's our next course that we recommend, which is Career Management Essentials. This is an awesome course. I highly encourage you to check this out. When you click on it, it looks like this. You will see you can earn a digital credential here, and then you can see what the course is about, right? How many modules there are. There are 5 modules, what you'll learn, different languages that it's offered in. But you can see these modules are fantastic. So focus your direction with workplace essentials, develop your professional network, create a great professional resume, and then ace your professional interview. Again, this is not a linear progression. Let's say you only wanted to dive into the module of ace your professional interview. You can click on that one and just dive into that module. You don't need to complete all of them beforehand. And then you will accept your digital credential. You can share it on LinkedIn, on your resume, etc. So just a couple things I wanted to highlight about next steps on Skills Build once you've completed that tech teaser. All right, with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to take a peek at the chat to see what questions there are, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that come up. Yay, yes, Jennifer, thank you for highlighting that. The last Talent Capital episode focused on the foundations of AI, and so it talked about IBM. That's great. Oh, great question, Benjamin. Wow, I've never had anyone ask this question. Is it possible or recommended to give a large language model a link to someone's LinkedIn profile as part of that prompt? You absolutely can. There is also, let me share my screen for a second here. Great question. On Skills Build, we have another course called Building Up Your Professional Brand. Oh, Crafting Your Professional Image Online. So this is a tech teaser as well. It's only 20 minutes. This one is awesome. I'll pop the link into the chat. But this one's great because it really does talk about how do you build up your LinkedIn profile to get noticed, right? Because everyone has LinkedIn now. Recruiters are looking at LinkedIn probably more than they're looking at your resume. So it talks about how you can build up your LinkedIn profile. And there's one image I wanted to show you really quickly. Here we go. So it talks about like what different things should you focus on? How do you add skills to your profile, which is really important. Add a portfolio if you have one or a website, different things about you, how you can have people make recommendations about who you are as a colleague or as an employee, right? Those types of things. So this is a great course to check out. Again, I will pop this into the chat so that you have it. But yes, I think you absolutely could use your LinkedIn profile and that would give it more information. Good question. Perfect. All right. What other questions are there? All right. If there aren't any, that's okay. I would love to know if any pop up. Always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with you. Tom, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing it. I'm just reading it really quick. That is awesome, Tom. Fantastic. That is great. What I would maybe add is that like what's a data point that you potentially could add? But that is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. All right, Jen, I'm going to pass it back to you if there's any closing pieces, but I appreciate you all being here. Again, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect. I'm not always great at staying up to date on my messages, but I try my best and I'm happy to support as any questions come up.
Thank you so much, Kiki, for your presentation today and for walking us through IBM Skills Build. The link that Kiki sent out is our special link. You can also access any of the other content that IBM offers through the Talent Capital website. For the folks who are on today, we can send you a follow-up with the link directly and share the link for this webinar when it is posted online. So next month in July, we're doing a partner spotlight. Generation USA is launching a 3-week free training program for job seekers in the DC region. And so their application opens up in the next week or so and closes at the end of July. So join us if you would like to learn about Generation USA's training program. And then in August, we're going to go through a platform deep dive for the employers on the webinar. This will be learning how to use the newly released employer portal that can help employers identify talent that have created accounts in Talent Capital. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.